President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning that the U.S. military intervention in the country could involve both ground troops and airstrikes. Now, his remarks follow Washington's designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern over alleged religious persecution and claims of genocide against Christians. Now, the genocide claim, however, remains highly contested, with some Nigerians arguing that violence from terrorist groups and communal clashes affect both Christians and Muslims. Other highlights the disproportionate toll on Christian communities, especially in the Middle Belt, as evidence of targeted persecution. Now, critics say the Nigerian government has responded weakly to the country's worsening insecurity. They accuse authorities of failing to act decisively against terrorist groups and also armed militia, allowing violence to escalate unchecked. Now, Trump's comments, though divisive, appears to have jolted Nigerian officials into a more active stance. The core questions, however, still remain. Has the government done enough to confront the crisis, or is international pressure now the driving force behind its response? Now, joining me right now to discuss this is Sheikh Gumi, is of course an Islamic cleric and peace negotiator. I also have Azari Yusuf, is the former national coordinator of the Middle Belt Patriots. Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you.
All right. Sheikh, let me start, of course, with you. And I would start this conversation by reading, going back to the tweet made, or the post on social media, that is, made by the United States President Donald Trump. I'll read just part of it. According to President Trump, he, in his words, has described the country, that's Nigeria, as a country of particular concern. He wrote quite a couple of things, which of course has ignited conversations around the safety of Christians. Now, this particular sect group. Now, the tweet goes this way: Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Now, thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. Of course, this has ignited conversations around the genocide of the Christians, in the country. So I want to ask you, Sheikh, is this the true, for you, does this reflect the reality of Nigerians?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dapo, for inviting me to the hot topic of the hour now. This allegation is false. It's a misrepresentation of reality, and I'm sorry to say it's also mischievous. A country.
Sorry, just to be clear on that, you said the allegation by the President of the United States is false. And also a misrepresentation of reality.
And also mischievous.
And mischievous. Why is that?
Yeah. Because America knows about Nigeria probably more than what we know. They know everything. What is now the Boko Haram Commission by the government has proven that Americans used to ferry guns to Boko Haram. And recently, the retired Chief of Defense Staff said there is no way that international community is not involved in Boko Haram in the Eastern Theater, or North-Eastern Theater, because for 15 years the army has been battling them. Let me tell you what happens. Boko Haram comes in jeeps and loaded with anti-aircraft gun. You know, the anti-aircraft gun has a higher range and more destructive power than a machine gun. Our soldiers don't have that. They are fighting us with anti-aircraft. From a kilometer, they will devastate our post. So who is arming them? Who is arming them with these anti-aircraft guns? This is how they kill our soldiers. They are fed it to them. And now, in fact, the committee said they thought it's France, but now they have realized it is America by confession of Congress members. So what are they coming to tell us? These people, liars, They tell a lot of lies. This is how they did in Iraq, and this is how they did even in Gaza recently, fueling genocide, then coming to disturb Nigeria. Why Nigeria is different from all other places? Here, any small thing can trigger a real, true religious conflict and clash. Just you can imagine from the reaction, the polarization of Nigeria, whereby most of the Muslims were against this irresponsible statement from Trump, and a lot of Christians, especially in the social media, the young ones, they are supporting him. So we're having polarization. What more if bombs start dropping on Nigerians? You know, a small thing can trigger mayhem, the real one. So what we are trying to avoid, trying to pacify people, going in there. I myself in a committee in a committee during the last Kaduna State regime. We have a House of Kaduna family. It's composed of clerics from both sides. We go to southern Kaduna, see the destruction there, and see the fight there, trying to pacify, meeting with all of them, gathering them together, bringing peace to them. In fact, southern Kaduna now is peaceful. That's the hot spot. Plateau now is peaceful. Benue is peaceful. So why is Trump nosing into?
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You said that Plateau is peaceful, Benue is peaceful, but there have been records of attacks lately.
When last did you hear about an attack? When last?
So for you, according to you, it's those states are peaceful.
When last did you hear of an attack? When last? The government is working very well.
All right. Let me.
Kaduna, look, Kaduna Abuja Road used to be the den of kidnapping. Now you can go freely even in the night.
Anyway,
so things are improving. As things are improving now, this man will just come and try to steer a problem with us within Nigeria.
Anyway, for Plateau State, for instance, sorry to interrupt you. I mean, Riyom, there was an attack recently in Riyom. So, I mean, Yelwata, even though we know that it happened quite, even recently that was in terms of weeks back, I mean, in Benue State. So, I mean, to say that these areas are peaceful, for some Nigerians, they might just feel that, this, of course, might not be, might be a bit out of place. But maybe I should just give you 30 seconds before I bring in my next guest. 30 seconds to respond.
Let us not be microscopic in our analysis of what is happening in Nigeria.
It's microscopic.
On the macro level. Things are getting better. The government is doing well to pacify all warring factions. What is happening in the Middle Belt is a clash between two clans. Those who claim to be residents and those who claim to be settlers. This is the clash between them, fighting over land. They are not fighting because of religion.
All right. Thank you so much.
Religion in it. You see, it will widen the scope. And if it widens the scope, Nigerians, Muslims, and Christians started killing themselves. We don't achieve what we want to achieve.
All right, Sheikh Gumi, thank you so much. Let me bring into the conversation Zari Yusuf is the former coordinator of the Middle Belt Patriots. He joins virtually also. Zari, great, of course, having you. Your reaction to some of things that have been said, but I would also direct the same question to you, where, of course, Nigeria has been designated, according to President Trump, a country of particular concern, citing killings targeted at a particular faith. Does this reflect our reality?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd say to you that indeed that reflects the reality in Nigeria. That is a welcome development, and that is not new or unexpected. It's something that is long overdue. To start off, I'd say to you, frankly, what appears to be mischievous in the world of the cleric would be the denial of a Christian genocide. As a matter of fact, I know you would likely have been taken aback when he said Benue is now peaceful, Plateau is peaceful, Southern Kaduna is peaceful. Of course, we understand the notion of peace is relative to a large extent. But going by the history of Nigeria, at least in the last 2 decades, we can very much draw a clear line between what is peaceful and what is not peaceful. You are dealing with a situation where, let me even start with a certain point. How did we get to the CPC list in the first place? It is simply because, it is not just because there are attacks on innocent people, innocent civilians who are armless, but it's simply because there is a certain attitude with which the government responds to these attacks. Throughout General Muhammadu Buhari's regime, especially when it was in Benue, there was hardly an attack where the presidency will not give a statement that looks like excusing, the attack, telling the people, cede your land so that, the Fulani would build ranches and all of that. The people have followed this pattern over, you can't argue with a pattern that has proven itself for about 2 decades. This is a clear case of an Islamist militia that is basically targeting Christian communities and sacking them. If it is a matter of land, is it only the Fulani people that have lived in other people's land in the Middle Belt? Do we not have Calabar people? Do we not have Yoruba people? Do we not have people from the south? Do we not have Igbos? Why is it only from one end? And if it is a battle over land, say crisis for instance, why is it only that one particular group is strictly composed of Muslims, they are sophisticatedly armed, and they are always killing the other groups who happen to just be agrarian people living their lives, and they just turn out to be Christians. So the idea of putting Nigeria on the CPC list reflects the truth of it. It is not as if somebody woke up in the morning and met a group of people living peacefully and then decided, let me bring in misunderstanding to them. Of course, he has been dismissive of the reality on ground, saying he doesn't want a scenario where Christians and Muslims will start killing each other. There is no such scenario. The only scenario we have are armed Islamic terrorists that have been killing Christians for almost 2 decades. So what exactly are we talking about? And what exactly are we afraid of being put on the CPC list? I remember the statement is that if the government will not take the responsibility of ending these killings, then of course the international community has a legal and a moral responsibility to step in. Wherever there is a genocide, you don't need the permission of the government of that country to end it.
All right.
It's just that
all right, Yusuf, we'll definitely come back to the conversation. We need to go on a quick break. When we return, we'll of course look at the country's approach to security situation in the country over the years and what seems to be missing out. Why does it appear at some point as if we're moving in circles? We'll talk more on that once we return. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me, Sheikh Gumi, and also Zari Yusuf. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Now, I'm coming back to you, Sheikh Gumi. Let's quickly look at our approach in tackling insecurity as a nation. This, of course, has been festering for quite some time. We've seen, and that's years, I'm talking about years here. We've seen different approaches. You've also been very much, what I call it, involved, particularly when it comes to the issue of banditry and this terrorist. I mean, you've been consistent in a way, talking about dialogue, rehabilitation, and even amnesty for the repentant, terrorist, which I just want to put this to you and ask you, from your perspective and what you've seen and experienced, why does it appear that like we're moving in circles?
Before I get to that, what I can see clearly is why do you put the list of Christians killed without a corresponding list of Muslims killed? Muslims in the southern Kaduna or in Plateau are killed in the thousands. And it's not only the militias they are killing them, even the Air Force have bombarded and killed so many villagers like that. So why don't we have a list of that? Why don't we have the list of the Tudumbiri people that we have massacred during their celebrations? Why don't you put those who were slaughtered in the boss? Why don't you put the image of Major General Kali so many cases. I think we Muslims, what we need to do now is to bring out to public the names of those who are killed and massacred in the southern, in the Middle Belt region. That is mandatory for us now, so that the swing of the information will not tilt against what is happening. It's two people fighting. It's a case of two-sided fight with both sides having casualty. To paint it as Muslims killing, I wonder if Muslims are killing Christians. I don't know if there will be any Christian left to be talking to you on the TV with the viciousness of
Sheikh Gumi. So I mean, you've established from your perspective also a pattern. But what have we been getting wrong? Why is it that we are still back to this same conversation of insecurity? You've been part of the process. I mean, you've been pretty much.
The situation is improving. The interference of America will only worsen it. This is what we are saying. But gradually, Nigerians are healing slowly and gradually.
So for you, you feel that the security situation. You feel the security situation in the country is improving.
Their precedents tells you that these are people who lie behind moral issues and attack people for their resources. We have seen that in Libya, we have seen that in Iraq, we have seen that even recently in attacking Iran over its peaceful nuclear. So what will they do with Nigerians too? And you see, this Republican Party, especially now that we have zealots evangelical Christians in power, they are anti-Muslims. They have an Islamophobia. And this is so evident. Look at the election in New York City, whereby a Muslim mayor, modern, moderate Muslim, very eloquent, coming out, people want him, and Trump is also threatening that he will cut off funds from New York City just because he's a Muslim. With this Islamophobia, how can I accept Trump to come into this country? He's just coming here to fight Muslims. And so instead of fighting terrorists, the whole Islamic world, the Muslim will just turn against America, and it will be, Nigeria will be a theater of war. This is what we are trying to avoid.
Let's quickly bring this back home.
We are against American intervention. Let Chinese come. Let a Russian come and help us. But Americans, those liars,
let's quickly bring this home. Before I leave you, before I let you go and move to Zari, what's your position on the idea of rehabilitation and amnesty for repentant terrorists?
So if they repent, what do you want to do? To kill them? Jesus Christ, taught us that, you see, if somebody repents, a prostitute came to him, they wanted to stone her because it's stoning and killing. And he said, go and sin no more. This is even Christianity. So what do you want us to do? Put them and that is what is called genocide. If they surrender, then we accept their surrender and rehabilitate them and make them useful Nigerians. If they want to fight in the army, it's even better. They want to fight those people who.
So you're saying it's okay for for repentant terrorists to fight in the army?
It's even better because they know the secret of the bandits.
But do you think that has helped us over the years? Because where I'm going to with this.
Better now. I was in Maiduguri just about 1 year ago. It's better. Things are calm. Not like those days when soldiers were calling me crying during Jonathan's time. There's a great improvement in Maiduguri.
I mean,
I've told you, Americans are arming Boko Haram with anti-aircraft guns. These same Americans, this same criminal country that wants to come and disturb Nigerians.
All right. Look, I'm still going to stay with you on this, please.
Do not allow these antichrist people to come into Nigeria here. I'm telling you, because we all suffer. Nobody will find it easy. So don't think they are coming here to save you. They don't even, they're Christian. This man who is groping women and doing all that kind of thing, this man, a convicted felony, giving money to a prostitute so that she will keep quiet. This same man you tell me is fighting for Christians. Is that Christianity?
Sheikh Gumi, let me leave you for a moment, and let me, of course, bring in Zari Yusuf. Zari, quickly, maybe you'd like to react to some of the things that have been said, but my question to you also is, where have we been getting it wrong as a nation? Why are we still having this conversation even after many years and several efforts?
One of the key reasons why we are getting it wrong is because of people like Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi. in a clear case of a war, because he's talking about bloodshed, there has been bloodshed. Nigeria has been a theater of war for almost 2 decades. Possibly it is not affecting him directly because most of the casualties, most of the mass murders is that of Christians. He appears to be a negotiator, but to be very honest with you, he has advocated more for appeasing the terrorists rather than advocating justice for the victims. And I think it's important to us because I believe he's an Islamic cleric. He understands the concept of justice. How do you deal with a scenario of people raping women, people killing soldiers, people decimating homes, people sacking communities, but then the strength of your advocacy is that the government should appease them? Where in the whole world, in the history of any war, whether guerrilla warfare, whether military warfare, have you ever found a situation where there is an active bloodshed going on, and then you believe that appeasing the criminals that are carrying out these genocidal attacks and infusing them into the military will help? From the very beginning, when the notion of amnesty, de-radicalization, and integration began, we have never seen a scenario where these repentant terrorists, as they call them repentant, have ever led people to their camps and they were decimated. They have been growing exponentially. They have been acquiring more arms. So that is basically the problem we are having. We are getting it wrong simply because we have managed to create a false narrative. An example is we have managed to compartmentalize terrorism or these Islamist activities to look as if it is only Boko Haram that is doing it. The reason is because the rest of the terrorist groups that are jihadist in nature have been forged into different names. For instance, he's talking about two fighting. There is no two fighting anywhere. It is important also, we would love it if you are able to have an example of one Christian militia that is operational in either Sokoto or any of the Muslim dominant state that have been raping women and killing people, then we can understand that. And at least the Muslims will equally lend their voice and say, okay, whatever it is the Americans are claiming that the Christians are suffering from, we are also suffering from it. And since it is all about eradicating terrorism, then good, come and eradicate them. But I think the problem is not just because there are foot soldiers who are killing people. It is because there are people who are sympathetic to the jihadist cause, there are people who are sponsoring them, and the involvement of any foreign nation in a scenario where there is a genocide does not end with the foot soldiers. It traces those who are sympathetic to their cause, whether because of political or religious or ideological beliefs. It equally traces those who sponsor them. And I think that is primarily where the problem lies in Nigeria. We are not sincere with the war against terrorism. Once it involves, because wherever you go to, we can't force ourselves. Most of the time, you find a lot of Muslims claiming that these people, they are not truly representing Islam and all of that, blah, 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 and all of that. But the truth is that there is an Islamist, well-armed Islamist jihadist group that has been massacring Christians. And what we find, unfortunately, people who should be speaking or condemning this act are busy trying as much as possible to create sympathy for them. You can imagine him saying that killing the terrorists will now amount to genocide. Then what would you tell the people that have been burying there? For instance, just of late in Yelewata, over 250 people were killed. But he describes that not as a genocide. He says two fighting, even though we don't know of...
All right, Zari Yusuf, I mean, we are really trying to manage time, and I know you have a lot to say, but let me bring the conversation back to Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi, I mean, you might want to react to some of the things that, you know, have been said, but my question to you in particular is, at this point, what would be your advice for the president of Nigeria and the Nigerian government in terms of how best to handle this situation with the U.S.?
One thing I find with this youth usually is they try to demonize people. Just imagine I'm going, taking risk to see that I pacify these people, people that even government cannot fight, people that are armed by this same America. They are armed by this same America. Why are you not addressing that issue? I'm trying to pacify them to change their direction. Look, they are Nigerians. You should not fight Nigerians. You should not allow foreigners to use you. They want to destroy Nigeria. In fact, since 2025 or 2015, they are saying Nigeria will disintegrate. And look at this youth trying to demonize. Even as I'm trying to talk to you to show fans into this, they think we are part of the problem. So you will continue to suffer if you think. And if you think Americans will come to help you, then you cry blood. You don't know. You don't know the Americans. They are the ones even creating all this. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and they all created it to cause confusion in Muslim land. But unfortunately, Nigeria, we have a big population of Christians. So this is not a place to play with fire. This is not a place to play with fire. You can do that in Sudan and everything. It's all the same religion, the same tribe. But in Nigeria, it's different. So that's why we don't want these Yankee men to come here and ignite a fire on combustibles in Nigeria. That's what essence we're here. So I advise the
maybe we should just get this also out of the way. Sheikh Gumi, just quickly. I mean, there have been mentions of... Sorry, please, sir. 1 minute. There have been mentions, please, hold on 1 minute. There have been, you know, a lot of talks around a jihadist agenda. Do you think this is also the case?
This is Pentagon propaganda. Which jihadists? What are they trying to do? I've spoken with herdsmen. They are hardly Muslims. They don't pray. They smoke Indian hemp. What Islamic and these Boko Haram people? They are not even educated in religion at all. I'm telling you, they are agents, creation of the Pentagon. They are trying to destroy. In fact, since 9/11, they have been trying to cause commotion in Muslim majority states. But Nigeria is different because we have Christians. If it's only Muslims, we don't count our death. All our deaths are martyrs. So that's why we don't count our death. But we have Christians here. We don't want this mayhem.
All right, so quickly, Sheikh, in 30 seconds, what would be your advice for the Nigerian government? How do they handle the situation now?
That Trump should retract and withdraw his threat on Nigeria because it's infringing on our sovereignty and it's a contempt of our country. They should, and also, if he doesn't do that, then we have all rights to sever our relationship and change our direction, political direction, to other nations that are like China, Russia, or the BRICS. Nigeria should be bold enough to do that. I'm sure if it's China Abacha's time, or what you call it, Murtala, they will take this bold step. Now, America will not have the guts to what do you call it, to abuse a country like Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much, Sheikh Gumi. It's of course a great having you talk to us this evening. But before we go, Zari, your final thoughts, 30 seconds.
Said, frankly, if it was in the days of Sani Abacha, a lot of the sympathizers and the sponsors of terrorism in the country would have long been executed. When you refer to the Muslims as martyrs in what sense? Unless they are fighting a jihad, what makes them martyrs? If a Muslim has an accident and dies on the way, is he a martyr? It's only when it involves a jihadist cause. So yes, there is a jihad that is going on, and I would say that one of the things I would advise the president to do, Nigerian president, frankly speaking, in the face of this, is to look beyond the foot soldiers in the forest. It is important to begin to arrest those who show sympathy to these killers. You can't have a scenario where you have armed groups that can kill hundreds of people, and then you still advocate sympathy for them and forget about the victims and continue claiming that there is peace. There is no peace anywhere. It is not as if Trump created the story from anywhere. We have lived this reality for over a decade and a half, where Christians, somebody just goes to a community and wipes out Christians. Boko Haram and all of these groups that people are lying that they are Fulani, they are not even Muslims, they don't know how to pray and all of that, they are Islamist groups. People understand what they do, why they attack, how they shout Allahu Akbar, how they do all of these things. Of course, nobody is perfect. I'm not a perfect Christian. But we can't capitalize on the fact that whether they smoke Indian hymn or do whatsoever, then it means they are not Muslims. If they are not Muslims, then why is the Islamic cleric concerned that they said they will destroy, they will kill them? They are not even, a lot of them are mercenaries that have been brought in by their sponsors to carry out these genocidal attacks.
All right,
let me just round up by saying it is important to explain why it is, if they are terrorists and you are concerned about human lives, why are you troubled that foreign nations want to lend in so that the terrorists will be eliminated? Why should that
All right, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure having...
He's asking a question. I think I need to answer it.
Okay, quickly, sir, 30 seconds.
We are worried because a liar, a genocidal man, wants to come and mess up with Nigeria. He's not coming here to protect Christianity.
All right.
That's why we are worried.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, having this conversation, Sheikh Ahmed Gumi is an Islamic cleric and also a peace negotiator. And Zari Yusuf is the former national coordinator, Middle Belt Patriots. Gentlemen, once again, thank you for your time.